What is going on, guys? With the 2019 draft and free agent frenzy done with, it's a good time to take a look at what all 32 NFL general managers have accomplished thus far, and how they all stack up against each other. There have been a great deal of GM changes over the past couple of years, but some of these guys have managed to keep their jobs for as long as 2 decades. So where does your team's GM place among the rest of the field? I'm Biondo, and today we're ranking all 32 NFL GMs. Don't forget to leave your video ideas down below. We'll be looking, and if we pick your idea, we'll give you a shout out in the video. So comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe to TPS and put on your notifications because we post videos every single day. Every day is a new video, so subscribe. Number 32, Bruce Allen. A longtime NFL executive has been with the Washington Redskins since 2010, and the franchise has been a disaster under Allen's watch. The Robert Griffin III saga was sad and embarrassing. Mike Shanahan and the Washington management deserve blame for ruining his career. Allen hasn't drafted many impact players throughout his time as Redskins GM and president. He held on to both Shanahan and now Jay Gruden for way too long. We do like his 2019 draft, but the results speak for themselves. Washington has only made the playoffs twice under Allen, but you can blame owner Dan Snyder for holding on to Allen and the management and coaching staffs this long. No other owner in NFL history would keep one person on for this long with practically zero success. Except for the Bengals, of course. Number 31, Mike Mayock. The former NFL commentator was hired to be John Gruden's right-hand man after the 2018 season. Up for debate who's really calling the shots between the two, but it's far too early to judge Mayock. He and Gruden pulled off a major coup by trading for Pittsburgh Steelers wideout Antonio Brown. But offensive lineman Trent Brown was signed for way too much. We weren't so big on the Cleveland Farrell selection either. We feel like the Raiders could have done better with their trio of first-round picks. But again, it's too early to guess how Mayock's tenure will go. We can't have him anywhere else on here. Number 30, Jason Licht. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers brought Licht aboard as their new GM in 2014. Only 1 winning season and 0 playoff berths to show for it. He hit a home run with the Mike Evans pick in 2014, but hasn't done so well in the draft otherwise. Josh McCown is one of Light's worst free agent signings. He kept running back Doug Martin and former head coach Dirk Koetter for far too long. The results speak for themselves, and so far we're curious as to how and why Licht has lasted this long. 2019 is probably his last chance to show that this team is on the right path. Otherwise, the Bucs will likely be finding a new GM. Number 29, Dave Gettleman. Gettleman's first year as New York Giants GM was terrible. He passed on the chance to take Sam Darnold, opting to take stud running back Saquon Barkley instead. Nothing against the latter, but 2018 was the time for Gettleman to take Eli Manning's successor. The Giants won just 5 games in 2018. In the offseason, Gettleman made a gutsy decision to trade the team's best player in Odell Beckham Jr. to the Cleveland Browns. He also should have just paid Pro Bowl safety Landon Collins rather than lose him in free agency. We're not big on the Daniel Jones and Dexter Lawrence picks either. Who knows? Maybe Gettleman's tank job and rebuilding plan will work. But overall, we're not too impressed with what we've seen here. Number 28, Adam Gase. Gase was only named the interim general manager of the New York Jets after the team fired former GM Mike Maccagnan. Apparently, Gase was not a fan of the big contract Maccagnan gave Le'Veon Bell, so at least we know he's smart enough not to overpay for the most replaceable position in football. That's why we put Gase ahead of guys like Allen and Gettleman. He doesn't have any prior experience as a general manager, so we can't really put him any higher in our rankings. But he's yet to make the same laughable mistakes as the aforementioned GMs on this list, so he's only the 5th worst GM in our books at the moment, and not the absolute worst. He really hasn't done much yet, so we gotta see where he goes. Number 27, Brian Gaine. The Houston Texans won the AFC South Division in his first year as GM, but we're not pleased with this 2019 free agency period and draft class. He's making a bold decision to keep Bill O'Brien for another year. The offensive line and secondary were messes in 2018, and he didn't do much to upgrade them. Also, the AFC South champions were largely built by previous GM Rick Smith, so we can only give him so much credit here. Hard to give him a much higher ranking after just 1 year, especially since he hasn't done much to upgrade the roster since coming aboard. Number 26, Chris Grier. Don't forget that Grier built a Miami Dolphins team that made the playoffs with a backup quarterback in 2016. It's hard to blame him for a disappointing 2017 season, considering Ryan Tannehill missed the entire year. 2018 was a disappointment in Miami, but we love how Grier began this rebuild. Bringing on former New England Patriots defensive play caller Brian Flores as the new head coach should do wonders. Acquiring young quarterback Josh Rosen from the Arizona Cardinals, it's a total win. And we love the Minkah Fitzpatrick and Christian Wilkins first-round picks. Bonus points for finally moving on from Tannehill, and for not being afraid to let Cameron Wake, Danny Amendola, and Frank Gore leave as well. Grier's first 3 years haven't been great, but he admitted his mistakes and has has this team on the right track. Number 25, Brian Gutekunst. Now Gutekunst's first year in replacing Ted Thompson as Green Bay Packers GM didn't go so well, but we love the changes he went about making. It remains to be seen if Matt LaFleur can shine as head coach, but Gutekunst had the guts to finally move on from Mike McCarthy. I mean, give him credit where it's due. Adding Adrian Amos, Preston Smith, and Zadarius Smith in free agency were all great moves, but we don't think Gutekunst needed to address his team's offense more at the 2019 draft. Nonetheless, he's off to a good start in helping Green Bay rebuild into a championship contender. So we'll see where it goes. Number 24, Steve Keim. The Arizona Cardinals GM has been with this team for 20 years now. Keim was named GM in 2013, and his tenure thus far has been, in a word, polarizing. Arizona did register 3 straight winning seasons, from 2013 to 2015. This included 2 playoff berths and a trip to the NFC Championship game in 2015, but the Cardinals have been mired in mediocrity ever since. Do you judge Keim by his first 3 years as GM, or by his last 3? Kyler Murray better work out, but the Chandler Jones trade sure worked out nicely. Otherwise, he has a lackluster drafting record. It's been an okay tenure for Keim, but he gets in okay ranking here. Number 23, Eric DeCosta. Mr. DeCosta took over as Baltimore Ravens GM in 2019, when the legendary Ozzie Newsome retired. You may think we're being far too generous here, but it's hard to not like what DeCosta has done thus far. He signed Pro Bowl safety Earl Thomas to complement the NFL's best defense. He signed do-it-all veteran running back Mark Ingram. DeCosta also had an excellent draft, landing Oklahoma wideout Marquise Brown, Louisiana Tech defensive end Jalen Ferguson, and Notre Dame wide receiver Miles Boykin. 4th-round draft pick running back Justice Hill has the chance to be a huge steal as well. DeCosta was not afraid to move on from beloved veterans like Joe Flacco and Terrell Suggs. Give him credit. The Ravens are built to win a ton now under DeCosta. That's another reason why we were generous with our ranking for the rookie GM. Number 22, Bob Quinn. The Detroit Lions followed the popular trend of hiring a Patriots employee as their new GM. Bob Quinn took over the Lions front office in 2016, helping the team reach the playoffs for the 3rd time in 5 years. The Lions went 9-7 in 2017, but missed out on the postseason. 2018 was a down year for the Motor City, but we do like most of Quinn's moves thus far. The results just need to start showing. Signing stud pass rusher Trey Flowers in 2019 free agency was a good move, and it should do wonders. Taking tight end TJ Hawkinson with the 1st-round pick was a bit risky, given the other needs on the roster, but it should pay off as well. Quinn isn't perfect, but we certainly like his work more than 1/3 of the other GMs. Number 21, Brandon Beane. It's hard to criticize what Brandon Beane has done as the Buffalo Bills GM thus far. He built a team that ended an 18-year playoff drought in 2017, but he was also smart enough to realize the club needed to be rebuilt. So he drafted promising and talented QB Josh Allen in the 1st round of the 2018 draft. Beane also won 2019 free agency, adding the likes of Cole Beasley and John Brown at decent prices. And finally, Beane hit home runs in the draft with stud defensive tackle Ed Oliver and offensive tackle Cody Ford. The Bills might not contend for a playoff spot in 2019 or 2020, but Beane has built this team beautifully. It won't be long until Buffalo emerges as a Super Bowl contender. Number 20, David Caldwell. It's hard to find the right placement here for Jacksonville Jaguars GM David Caldwell. He was hired in 2013 to oversee a massive rebuilding project, and he's hit plenty of draft picks and free agent signings. Jalen Ramsey, AJ Bouye, Calais Campbell, and Miles Jack are among Caldwell's best finds thus far. But the Jaguars only have 1 playoff berth under Caldwell, although it wasn't an impressive trip to the 2017 AFC Championship game, and he can only absorb so much of the blame for a disappointing 2018 season. At any rate, Caldwell has built up a super talented Jacksonville team that should vie for Super Bowls now. Adding Nick Foles was a huge win. It could go down as the best move in franchise history, and it might be the move that saves Caldwell's job long term. Number 19, Duke Tobin. So much good and so much bad under Tobin. If the Cincinnati Bengals have been mediocre under Tobin, it's only fair he gets a mediocre rating. Tobin obviously built up a Cincy team that won 2005 and 2009 AFC North Division titles. He got 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks in Carson Palmer and Andy Dalton. Chad Johnson, Geno Atkins, and AJ Green are among some of Tobin's best selections as well. But despite building up 7 Bengals playoff teams, Tobin hasn't seen his club win a single postseason game. 2018 marked a 3rd straight losing season in Cincy. Tobin is undoubtedly on the hot seat here. Number 18, John Lynch. Some frustrated San Francisco 49ers fans probably want to see him lower on this list, but Lynch has been been hitting some home runs over the last 2 years now. Lynch got himself a franchise quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo, finally ending the team's painful search for a new starter. We need to see more out of 2017 first-rounder Solomon Thomas, however. We do like Lynch's decision to hire Kyle Shanahan as head coach. Lynch also had an excellent offseason, adding the likes of Dee Ford, Quan Alexander, and pass rushing stud Nick Bosa with the number 2 overall pick in 2019. We expect the results to start showing soon, which is why Lynch earns a not-so-bad placement here. So good for you, Lynch. Number 17, John Elway. You may feel inclined to call Elway the architect of the Denver Broncos Super Bowl 50 championship team. Elway could have been fired long ago if Peyton Manning had never signed here. Since Manning retired in 2016, Elway has failed time and time again to find a new quarterback. That cannot be ignored. Trevor Siemian, Brock Osweiler, Chad Kelly, Paxton Lynch, Case Keenum. Yikes. All in 3 years too, which is pretty crazy. Elway's drafting as of late has been horrible as well. Give him credit for landing Manning, drafting Von Miller, and signing Pro Bowl talents like DeMarcus Ware and Emmanuel Sanders. But Elway's last few years haven't been good, which is why he falls outside of the top half. Number 16, Jerry Jones. Like it or not, Dallas Cowboys fans, Jerry Jones will not relinquish his GM duties. The owner is going to keep calling the shots. But to Jones' credit, he's done an excellent job since 2016. He found 2 franchise stars in Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott. The latter was a 4th-round pick. DeMarcus Lawrence was an excellent draft choice in 2014 as well. And now Jones deserves credit for crafting one of the best offensive lines in recent memory. The decision to deal his 2019 first-round pick for Amari Cooper paid massive dividends. Jones has had his flaws, sure. He's held on to certain players and coaches for far too long. But he's avoided handing out stupid contracts in free agency, and his drafting as of late has been excellent. Number 15, Marty Hurney. The Carolina Panthers GM has spent over 2 decades with the organization now. Hurney was GM from 2002 to 2012, then took the position back once Dave Gettleman was fired following a disappointing 2016 season. Under Hurney, the Panthers have reached 2 Super Bowls and a total of 3 NFC Championship games. He made the gutsy decision to take Cam Newton first overall in 2011, but it certainly worked out fine. Hurney also hit a home run with the Luke Kuechly pick in 2012, and the Christian McCaffrey selection has done wonders thus far. The Panthers haven't found much consistency in recent years, but Hurney has certainly kept the team interesting throughout his tenure as GM. Number 14, Brett Veach. The Kansas City Chiefs hired Veach as their new GM in the 2017 offseason, following the firing of John Dorsey. Now the Chiefs have won 2 AFC West Division titles and reached the conference championship game once under Veach, but it was Dorsey who built the bulk of this team. It was Dorsey who drafted Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Marcus Peters, and Travis Kelce. It was Dorsey who traded for Alex Smith as well, but Veach found some nice pieces in the 2018 offseason, landing the speedy Sammy Watkins in free agency. He also got a nice haul for Alex Smith after deciding it was Mahomes' time. The Dee Ford and Frank Clark trades were both gutsy, but respect the man for giving it a go. Veach also signed Pro Bowl safety Tyrann Mathieu in the 2019 offseason. We love how he's only added to a great team since Dorsey left. Veach deserves to be in the top half right now, but he'll be in the top 10 and maybe even 5 soon enough. Number 13, Rick Spielman. The longtime NFL executive has been GM of the Minnesota Vikings since 2012. Overall, Spielman has succeeded in draftings and free agency. He's put together a championship caliber roster on paper. The results just haven't showed up yet. Some of Spielman's best draft picks include Matt Khalil, Harrison Smith, Anthony Barr, and Stephon Diggs. A friendly reminder that star wide receiver Adam Thielen was an undrafted product as well. Spielman built a mini team that reached the postseason in 2012, 15, and 2017. The Vikings have won 2 NFC North Division titles, and they reached the 2017 NFC title game. But it's not crazy to say that Spielman's legacy in mini could come down to that Kirk Cousins contract, which was a mess after year 1. Now we gotta give him some time, but still, it was bad. If the Vikings had won more, Spielman would be in the top 10. He constructed a great roster, but can Minnesota start winning again? That's the question. Number 12, Tom Telesco. The formerly San Diego, now Los Angeles Chargers hired Telesco to take over for AJ Smith in 2013. In his first year as Chargers GM, Telesco got his team to the postseason, even reaching the AFC divisional round. Telesco then had to step back and rebuild this team around Phillip Rivers. He's drafted beautifully, finding stars like Keenan Allen, Joey Bosa, Melvin Gordon, Mike Williams, and more recently Derwin James. Hiring Anthony Lynn as head coach was pure genius, and Telesco got the Chargers to the postseason again in 2018, where they won 12 games and reached the divisional round. As far as we're concerned, Telesco has the Chargers in prime position to contend for multiple Super Bowls. Number 11, John Robinson. GM of the Tennessee Titans since 2016, Robinson had previously spent time in Tampa Bay and over a decade in the Patriots scouting department. Robinson Robinson's tenure in the Music City has been nothing short of consistent. The Titans have registered 3 straight winning seasons plus a 2017 playoff berth. Tennessee won a playoff game in Kansas City and reached the AFC divisional round. Robinson has done a fine job in the drafting and free agent markets thus far. Jack Conklin and Corey Davis have been excellent first-round picks, and hiring head coach Mike Vrabel looks good thus far. Derrick Henry and Kevin Byard were great picks in the 2016 second and third rounds. We love the free agent pickup of Adam Humphries and the 2019 draft picks of Jeffrey Simmons and A.J. Brown. They should do wonders. Robinson's Titans should be contending for Super Bowls in the near future. That depends on the health of Marcus Mariota, of course. Number 10, Chris Ballard. The Indianapolis Colts were a mess when Chris Ballard was hired to take over as GM in 2017. And in such a short time, the former Kansas City Chiefs Director of Football Operations has turned this team around, hiring Frank Reich following Josh McDaniels' decision to back out at the last minute as head coach did wonders in year 1. Ballard and Reich pieced together the NFL's best offensive line in 2018, after it had been one of the NFL's worst for numerous years. Ballard got linebacker Darius Leonard in the second round of the 2018 draft, and he went to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Some of Ballard's other great moves include the selections of Malik Hooker, Marlon Mack, and Quentin Nelson. The Colts made the playoffs in 2018, and they're primed to win for a long time under Ballard's watch. He's done a wonderful job in such a short time. What can he do for an encore now? Number 9, John Dorsey. Dorsey is the man who built the bulk of the current Kansas City Chiefs team. His decision to trade up and get Patrick Mahomes despite having a Pro Bowl quarterback in Alex Smith will go down as a huge win. Dorsey was hired as GM of the Cleveland Browns late in the 2017 season. He did a great job in drafting Baker Mayfield, Denzel Ward, and Nick Chubb. Dorsey, of course, has done plenty of work in the trade market. When's the last time a GM traded for 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers within a calendar year? He got Jarvis Landry in 2018 and Odell Beckham Jr. in 2019. That's simply insane. The 2019 second-round pick of Greedy Williams looks promising as well, and that Sheldon Richardson free agent signing should do wonders. Once the Browns start winning in bunches, Dorsey will surge into the top 5. Number 8, Ryan Pace. After spending nearly a decade and a half with the New Orleans Saints, Pace was hired to become the new Chicago Bears GM in 2015. He faced a difficult task of rebuilding this team, and he's done it beautifully. Obviously, the hiring of head coach John Fox and 2015 first-round pick Kevin White didn't pan out, but Pace quickly erased those mistakes. He hired offensive guru Matt Nagy to become the head coach in 2018. All that did was lead to the league's best scoring defense, 12 wins, and an NFC North Division title. Pace made the bold move to trade for Oakland Raiders star pass rusher Khalil Mack. Of course it panned out. It's a game-changing move that could go down as the best trade in franchise history. Pace won't regret for trading up to get Mitch Trubisky with the number 2 pick in 2017. Flashy running back Tariq Cohen was a 4th-round gem found later in the same draft. The Allen Robinson and Trey Burton signings have worked out nicely thus far as well. It took Pace just 3 years to build up a Super Bowl contending team here. Simply remarkable work. Number 7, Thomas Dimitroff. The Atlanta Falcons GM couldn't really do a much better job. His team should have won Super Bowl 51, but that wasn't on Dimitroff. He built a team that should have won a championship. It was the coaches and players who blew it, not him. I mean, even though he picked the coaches and players, but you know what I'm saying. The veteran executive has done a wonderful job in both drafting and free agency. He's the one who drafted franchise stars Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. He had to give up a monster package to move up and get the ladder in 2011. Dimitroff has found other gems in Jake Matthews, Vic Beasley, Calvin Ridley, Devonta Freeman, Keanu Neal, Deion Jones, and Grady Jarrett. Some of Dimitroff's better free agent pickups include Alex Mack, Mohamed Sanu, and Dwight Freeney. The championship is the only thing missing on Dimitroff's resume, but it's hard to complain about 6 playoff berths, 3 NFC South Division titles, 2 NFC title game appearances, and 1 Super Bowl trip so far. Number 6, Les Snead. The St. Louis Los Angeles Rams were a laughingstock for the longest time since their ceiling was, well, 7 wins. It was the Jeff Fisher special. Folks were amazed for a while that Snead lasted so long as GM, but over time, he gradually pieced together a championship caliber roster. Aaron Donald is the best defensive player in the NFL. Snead got him at 13th overall in 2014. The next year, he drafted a future offensive rookie and player of the year in running back Todd Gurley. And a year later, he traded to get future star quarterback Jared Goff. And Snead hired 31-year-old Sean McVay as head coach in 2017. All that did was lead to consecutive NFC West Division titles. Bringing legendary defensive coordinator Wade Phillips aboard worked nicely as well. Snead has also hit home runs in trading for Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib, and Brandon Cooks. The Rams may have lost Super Bowl 53 to the Patriots, but they're set up to compete for many championships over the next decade. Number 5, Mickey Loomis. He's been with the New Orleans Saints since 2000. Loomis moved into the GM role in 2002, and he's held the position ever since. Loomis was the architect of the Saints Super Bowl 45 championship. He's the one who hired the great Sean Payton as head coach. And Loomis signed Drew Brees in the 2006 season. That worked out nicely, getting the game's all-time passing leader and all. Loomis has been a drafting guru as well. Alvin Kamara, Marcus Colston, Marshawn Lattimore, you name it. Loomis was the one who brought all of the stars onto that Super Bowl team and onto that current Saints club that has won consecutive NFC South titles. The Saints are perhaps one non-Minneapolis miracle and one correct pass interference call away from, who knows, winning another Super Bowl or two. Either way, Loomis has built his team beautifully over the years. We tip our hat to him. Number 4, Howie Roseman. The Brooklyn native has been with the Philadelphia Eagles organization since 2000, and he was named GM in 2010. After plenty of ups and downs, Andy Reid's not-so-fun exit, and the disastrous Chip Kelly era, Roseman managed to build up a Super Bowl 52 championship winner. Roseman mortgaged everything to get Carson Wentz at number 2 overall in 2016. And it worked. Everyone laughed at Roseman for hiring Doug Peterson as head coach in 2016. And it worked. Roseman has been one of the best drafting GMs over the past decade as well. Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox certainly come to mind. Pro Bowl center Jason Kelce was a 6th-round pick, and don't forget his successful track record in trade and free agency. The Eagles simply don't win Super Bowl 52 without free agent pickup Alshon Jeffrey or the dominant running back duo of Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount. The Eagles are locked and loaded to compete for more Super Bowls under Roseman. It just took the hiring of one super genius executive to end this team's near 6-decade-long championship drought. Number 3, John Schneider. The Seattle Seahawks organization changed forever when they hired John Schneider as GM and Pete Carroll as head coach in 2010. Seattle has only missed the playoffs twice under Schneider and Carroll. They've only had 2 losing seasons, and one of them still netted Seattle an NFC West division title. 7-9 pride, baby. Just take a look at all the Pro Bowlers and future Hall of Famers Schneider has drafted. Earl Thomas, Schneider's first pick. Cam Chancellor, 133rd overall pick in 2010. Richard Sherman, 154th overall in 2011. Bobby Wagner, 47th overall in 2012. Russell Wilson, 75th overall in 2012. The Seahawks have won 2 NFC championships and Super Bowl 48. As you know, they should have won Super Bowl 49 as well. Everyone wrote Seattle off when the Legion of Boom broke up in the 2018 offseason. All Seattle did in a rebuilding year was earn a playoff berth with a 10-6 record though. Yeah, that Schneider guy's pretty good. Number 2, Kevin Colbert. The Pittsburgh Steelers GM and Vice President joined the team in 2000. He's held the GM title since 2010. If it weren't for the obvious number 1 guy on our list, Colbert would so be number 1. This man has landed Pro Bowler after Pro Bowler after Pro Bowler, all while avoiding high-ticketed free agents and blockbuster trades. Under Colbert, the Steelers have been a perennial Super Bowl contender. They've won 2 Lombardi trophies and have reached the big game 3 times. Colbert's Steelers last had a losing season in 2003. Consistency is the word. He's only had 2 head coaches, and Ben Roethlisberger has been the starting quarterback since 2004. The Steelers, after the Patriots, have been the NFL's most consistent team of the 21st century, and that is due in large part to Colbert's remarkable success as the GM of Pittsburgh. Number 1, Bill Belichick. 6 Super Bowl championships in 9 Super Bowl appearances. AFC Championship game appearances every year. Best coach ever. Best GM ever. Drafted Tom Brady in the 6th round. Always finds hidden gems out of nowhere. If he loses a star player or coordinator, he finds somebody better. Until he retires, Belichick isn't moving from the top spot. The New England Patriots are Bill Belichick. That's all. Have a good one. What major changes would you make to our NFL GM power rankings? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post videos every single week, and they're really good, so if you want more of me, then you should go there. Subscribe to TPS because we post videos every single day. Every day is a new video, so subscribe. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes 1 click right down there. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo, and I'll see you next time. My knee.